Well, it appears to be 10:30 by my watch anyway. Yep.
Should be 9.
Everybody ready? Angie, you ready?
Dan, before,
It's on.
can you guys, okay, before you guys start, you need to speak into your mics. Pick them up and put them here, because the last set of minutes that Angie had to do, you could not hear
Test.
anything. I'm serious. Okay? We are legally required to keep copies of the records of our minutes, of our meetings, and we cannot do that if we do not have these recordings, okay? So please, please, keep them in your hand.
Wow, so I'm gonna keep it on I need my hands to help with my paperwork here, so I'm gonna keep it like this. So I call the meeting of the Signed Ordinance Subcommittee of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Montreat to order. Our chairman, Mr. Hinkle, has asked me to officiate, and I'm happy to do that. I welcome everybody here, Julie and Dora, and let's first have a moment of silence. Amen. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda that hopefully everybody has a copy of? Do you have any extra copies? Does everybody need a copy? Everybody have a copy?
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of the proposed agenda.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Agenda is adopted. Next is the adoption of the March 6, 2024 minutes, which was our last official meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll accept that as a motion and a second. Julie seconded, John Hinkle. Sally. Okay, I'm sorry. John Hinkle made the motion, Sally seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? And I'm trying to find my copy of it. I don't think I had any suggestions. I can't find it. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, old business is a review and adoption of the minutes from the April 11th, 2024 meeting, and as Kayla has put a little asterisk at the bottom of the page, we did not have a quorum at that meeting. We did discuss certain items, but of course could not take any action on those items, so we need to do that today. There's an email that was sent out and was also included in your packet that I had kind of summarized what we needed to do, but the main thing is in the definition section and in the signage ordinance itself, Article 8, Kayla had provided to us both those items, and there were some yellow highlighted parts, and that's what we discussed and informally agreed upon, but we need to formally approve today. I'll be happy to skim through them. There was a new definition of flag in the definition section, and also in the definition section under the word definition of sign, we deleted the last sentence that read, "This definition shall not include the flag, badge, or insignia of any governmental unit." That was deleted, and these words were inserted in their place. Sign shall include flags and banners. Those are the two changes in the definitions section. In the Article 8 section, the changes are they're highlighted in yellow, going through it. In 801.3, where it previously read pole-mounted banners, it was just changed to read banners with a capital B. In 801.6, sign setback requirements, the words freestanding were changed to ground mounted right before the word sign. In the section 801.9, enforcement of regulations, it previously read any sign constructed. The word constructed was changed to erected. And then it says after the effective date, which does not comply with this ordinance, any sign maintained in a non-conforming, we changed non-conforming to non-compliant. In 801.91, again, the word non-conforming was changed to non-compliant. Same thing later in that same section, 801.91, non-conforming was changed to non-compliant. Also in 801.93, non-conforming was changed to non-compliant. 801.94, same thing, non-conforming changed to non-compliant. In 802.2, the words freestanding, where it read any freestanding sign, was changed to any ground-mounted sign located in a street. Right-of-way was inserted after the word street. Or projecting over into a street right-of-way, comma, except that one house number and or name shall be permissible for each dwelling, comma, subject to 802.1. The changes made to 802.2. Continuing on 802.7, the word section was inserted before the numbers 805.25 on line 3 of 802.7. 803.4, section dealing with monitoring conference signs structure near gate. It previously read sign panels is permitted. We're saying that sign is exempt rather than the word permitted was changed to exempt. Two places later in that same section, the word sign is to be capitalized since it's a defined term. And at the end of the section, it said subject to the approval of the zoning administrator. We changed zoning administrator to town. Continuing on, there were a couple of little minor punctuation sections in 804.91, 92, 93. At the end of those, 804.91 is a period at the end instead of a semicolon. 804.92, the same thing, instead of a semicolon, a period. 804.93, a period at the end instead of a semicolon. And it was an extraneous 804.94, which is to be removed. On the next page, 18, section 804.10, the word, a new section dealing with flags is inserted. I'll read it. It reads, flags shall, with permission of the property owner, be allowed on private property in accordance with the following provisions. 804.101, no flag shall exceed 24 square feet in surface area. 804.102, flags must otherwise comply with sections 801 and 802 of this section, period. Then a new section 804.11, I say a new section, it's actually just a relocated section. It's located elsewhere in this article. It's just moved here. We thought it fit better in this section. So 804.11 is entitled recreational signs. I will not read it because it's not new. It's just relocated from where it was previously. Later, it used to be section 807. So 807 will be deleted and just moved to 804.11. Continuing on, 804.12, dealing with subdivision signs. It previously read one ground sign. We inserted the word mounted, so it reads one ground mounted sign per entrance, etc. 805.13, the word freestanding is changed to ground mounted at the end of the second sentence. 805.21, the title is changed to ground mounted signs instead of freestanding. And in the paragraph itself, we've changed ground sign to ground mounted sign. 805.23, two places the word freestanding is changed to ground mounted. Same thing in 805.24, the word freestanding changed to ground mounted. 805.26, the words freestanding changed to ground mounted. And again, we come to 807, and that is deleted, but as I previously said, it was just relocated to 80, whatever it was up above, I forgot what it was now, 804.11. I think that is it. Nope.
809.
Yep. 80 in 808 point, previous 809.3. Well, it wasn't numbered. About removal of non-conforming signs, that section is deleted. Removal of non-conforming signs, which previously read, all non-conforming signs must be removed or brought into compliance with this ordinance no later than 5 years after the date of adoption of this ordinance. That language is to be deleted. And I think that is all that we discussed. Just to get the discussion started, I would entertain a motion that we that we approve all of those changes I just delineated or listed or read through.
I so move.
Is there a second to make? Second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to make those changes that I just read and that are shown on the, in yellow on the version of the Article 8 that was sent out, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. The next item of what we need to do is we had discussed at the end of that meeting and at the end of our previous meeting back in March about the section about regulations. We now have a large section which is currently, help me where it is now.
Dan,
801.91.
Dan, before we go on to enforcement, I may have missed this. I needed to pop out and get another pen. Did we talk about number 2 and number 3, section 802.2, and then renumbering section 808? I may have missed that when you were going through changes.
Well, the 802.2, I read the correction as I went through it.
Oh, okay. So
There was
802.
I think it was just a typo that was.
It maybe was. Okay, so
Yeah,
then.
but I did review that. But I went through it. The 80.
Wait.
Wait a minute, I'm talking about 801. I'm getting confused myself now.
I'm talking about 802.2. On your email, it was the second item.
Yes,
He
yes.
read out except that. He inserted in the words except
Yes.
that, because I wrote it down in my.
Yeah, I read it.
So I have any ground-mounted sign located in a street right-of-way, comma, or projecting over into a street right-of-way,
comma,
comma,
except that.
Yes.
Yes.
One house number, and I read that as I
He
went
read,
through it.
yep, he read it.
I'm sorry. I'm having horrible allergies right now, so I'm not feeling that great. Except that one house number and/or nameplate shall be, oh, thank you, permissible for each dwelling, comma, subject to section 802.1.
Yes, yep.
Okay,
He read
perfect.
them.
And then I'll just make sure everything's numbered correctly.
Yeah, and
when
I
do
did
it.
not review those. I was just reading the
It
text.
may, I mean, it's like hard to format this while you're also
I
like
understand.
making changes. So I'll make sure all the numbers are right.
Yeah, I didn't review those.
That's fine. I'll take care of it.
And so then the other thing I was left to do was we had previously discussed enforcement regulations, and you wanted to think about it, and we discussed it, and I sent an email back. So what I'm suggesting, and I think this is what Kayla was suggesting as well, is in section 801.9, as it currently reads, including the changes we just made to it, we'll change it again, and that's up for discussion today. 801.9 is enforcement regulations, which is a somewhat lengthy process spelled out there, about a page, I guess. And rather than having a separate enforcement regulations section in the sign ordinance itself, what Kayla has proposed, and I personally agree with, and it's up for discussion for the committee, is to change in 801.9 to read as follows. And I think she just handed out to this morning. It'll read, any sign erected after the effective date which does not comply with this ordinance, or any sign maintained in a non-compliant manner, shall be subject to the provisions of sections 305, 306, and 307 of this ordinance, period. And the rest of 801.9 would then be deleted because we'd be incorporating by reference these other sections, which would then make it much more consistent for the staff to enforce violations. So do I hear a motion, so we can get it on the floor at least, that we change 801.9 as I just read?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And I think that's all we had to discuss today. All the business that we have before us on the agenda. Anybody else have any old business? Under new business, I guess you just can review the text amendment process.
Yeah, so the next steps would be to come to the Planning and Zoning Commission and present these changes. So in the zoning ordinance, the Planning and Zoning Commission is able to initiate text amendments. So yeah, so the Planning and Zoning Commission would essentially like vote to recommend these changes, and then we would just process it like a text amendment. So we'd advertise like we normally would. It would go to Board of Commissioners, and then Board of Commissioners would make the final decision. And I think that when the Planning and Zoning Commission, so Planning and Zoning Commission will have to make a recommendation on the changes, the full commission. I think that when you guys do that, we can have that be essentially we're going to file the application.
Yes, because the Planning and Zoning Commission in an hour will not be able to approve these changes we just made.
Yeah, I'm talking generally. That's how
Yeah,
it would work,
right.
is Planning and Zoning Commission would vote to apply for the submit the application, and they'd make a recommendation on the changes, then it would go to Board of Commissioners. So yes, we would not be able to do that until July.
But just as I understand the process, and we can decide who does it, but the sign committee, it's good that Alan and Liz are here, because everybody, I guess now, but Bill and Tucker and Daniel are at least aware of it. But the sign committee will present it to the Planning and Zoning in an hour for their consideration, but they can't really formally adopt it because it was not publicly sent out to the public.
Yeah, so we can't actually say Planning and Zoning Commission is putting forward this application and recommending X, Y, Z.
But we can present it,
Yeah.
sign committee can present it, and we can discuss it, but we can't formally adopt it and recommend to the council until the next meeting.
Yep,
Okay,
that's correct.
okay.
Yeah, so in the intervening time between the end of this meeting and the beginning of the next one, I'm going to make these changes and print out copies for the full commission. And then we can talk about that. I think in our subcommittee updates, we can go through it. I didn't really put a separate item on that, but we can go through it then and then talk about this process. So in July, putting forward the application and making a formal recommendation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not unless there were outstanding changes or anything, yeah.
Just go through it pretty quickly like we did today. Yeah. Okay. Any other business anybody needs to bring before this subcommittee?
One other thing I did want to bring up. So the other thing that the subcommittee was tasked with as part of the comp plan implementation was reviewing the wayfinding plan. I didn't know if you know, that was something that the subcommittee wanted to put a date on the calendar to start discussing that, or if that felt like something we want to push. I think that item in the comp plan was a that was a development objective 3. It was a long-term time frame and high priority. So we can discuss it with the full Planning and Zoning Commission, whether that's something that the sign subcommittee wants to start working on now, or if it's something that we maybe want to put on the docket for next year. But that's just something to keep in mind. It's easier to schedule meetings with you guys when everyone's here. So I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that. If we want to set a meeting now, if we want to ask the full Planning and Zoning Commission what they think, or if we just want to decide to revisit updating the wayfinding plan towards the end of the year.
I don't know why we want to wait. Keep this on the agenda. I think we just ought to move forward with it.
The only thing I would say is that I know, so just as a little precursor to Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, we do have some legislative updates that need to be made to the zoning ordinance. And so I think, you know, that's going to take a little bit of time. And we also have, you know, several comprehensive plan implementation items that are ongoing. So if it feels like a priority to do this now, if it feels like a priority to start this now, we can. Otherwise, we can wait till the end of the year. I'm only saying we just have a lot going on right now.
Then let's wait till the end of the year.
Hopefully by then the ordinance review commission will be able to start meeting also. Okay, any other business to come before the subcommittee? Now time for public comment. Jane or Liz or Dora, anybody have anything to say out there? Appreciate you being here. Anything else? That being all, I guess we'll adjourn the meeting, give Kayla time to get ready for the next one at 10:30. Thank you all for being here. Meeting is adjourned.